Hello, and welcome to the SUNY Oneonta Student Association's 2018-2019 Executive Board Debate. My name is Zachary Benetti, and I am the current Chief of Staff of the Student Association. Today, we will be hearing from candidates for each of the 5 Executive Board positions of the Student Association. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for opening remarks and 2 minutes for each question. There will be 3 questions each, and there will be 1 minute for the candidate's closing remarks. Our first candidate is Ketsi Betancourt. Candidate Betancourt, please state your opening remarks.
Hi, my name is Ketsi Betancourt, and I am running for the Student Association President. I have been in SA since my freshman year. I've been in basically all the branches. My first semester, I joined as an Associate Justice, and then I wanted to do more, so then I became a senator. After I became a senator, I realized that there's so much work that can be done on our campus, especially for the marginalized communities. So then I ran for Chair of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and I have been in that position for roughly 2 years. I've accomplished so much in that position, and I've met so many faculty and staff and students, and being in SA has really benefited my life and benefited my skills that I would like to help other students be part of. Some goals that I would like to accomplish as president is to bridge the gap between the Student Association and the students, and especially their clubs. The Student Association does more than just fund our organizations. We are the voices for the students, and we would always want to represent the students wholeheartedly. I will also want to increase the school pride that we have. There is so much that we can be proudful as students of Oneonta, and I just hope as student body president, I'll be able to bring life to this campus. Thank you.
All right, Candidate Nolan, you now have time for your opening remarks.
Hi, my name is Timothy Nolan, and I'm running for Student Association President. I've been deeply involved in the campus ever since I got here, and I can confidently say that I found my vocation here representing you in the Student Association. For the past 3 years, I've held roles in the Student Association from Senator to Attorney General, Campus Operations to Executive Vice President. This past year as Executive Vice President, I've really made the position my own, running the transportation program with good efficiency, chairing the scholarship committee that's given thousands of dollars to deserving students, and creating the Senate Development Committee, which will strengthen the operations of the legislative branch from the inside. Above all this, I feel proudest of my work overseeing the Senate. We've been able to fill the Senate with good, ambitious, and driven senators who I know will take good care of the Student Association after I've left. I've put in countless hours to help the operations of this organization, and I'm ready to take it to the next step. To prepare, I've taken time to shadow each member of the Executive Board to gain a better understanding of the organization and how every cog in our machine works together. I spent time learning from our VP of Communications, from our VP of Finance, from our VP of Central Affairs, and most importantly, I've shadowed the current president for the last few months. The Student Association has made great efforts to serve every club here on our campus, but I believe we can do even more. We can be more present and helpful to the entire student body. If elected president, I plan on fostering an organization that truly acts as an advocative body. I plan on teaching our organization of student leaders how to write resolutions so that we can be a more present and active body and speak for the general student body as a whole. We need to reestablish ourselves on campus and reshape the narrative to use our voice to improve student life for everyone. In this position, I'd like to give our official support to the ALS department, which has been facing unstable turnover, provide an effective and accurate OPT bus tracker so students don't have to guess when the bus is going to come around the corner in below freezing temperatures, and advocate for the hiring of more faculty of color and more issues our college isn't cognizant of. Everything is led up to this, and I can proudly say that I can serve well as your president.
Question 1. What do you think are the largest issues facing the Student Association today, and how do you believe you can help solve them? Candidate Betancourt?
I believe that the Student Association, the SA and the students, there's a disconnect, and I believe that the Student Association can offer more to clubs than they see. Clubs usually think that SA will just be there to fund whatever they want to go on trips, rent out vans that we have. They also know that we have meetings on Tuesdays. And usually on these meetings on Tuesday, we don't have students come and voice their issues or their opinions. And I feel like the essay needs to be more broader, more approachable to the student body, because I feel like we are the representatives for the student body, and if they come, we'll be able to make change more easier. Another issue that I notice is that the Student Association directly speaks to faculty and staff more than directly speaking to students. And previously, before, we used to have club reps, which the senators will be divided and go into clubs. I feel like there will be another way that we can bring that back, so the senators will be able to communicate with the clubs, and that gap is filled. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Nolan?
One of the largest problems that the Student Association is facing right now is really lack of passion. Overseeing the Senate, I can confidently say that we have a number of students as senators who sit in meetings and they look disinterested. They don't speak their mind, and they really don't represent the students. I feel that the only way we can really tackle this issue is recruiting, getting our name out, being more public, being more visible on campus, and really bringing in the people who really want to be there. From my point of view, chairing the Senate, I see people who treat the Senate like an opportunity to look good on the resume instead of really representing the students and doing the job that they're supposed to do. And I feel that the Senate Development Committee, which I created this semester, will help with operations to better strengthen the recruitment orientation and continuation of driven and passionate senators.
Thank you. Next question. The president of the Student Association interacts with many faculty, staff, and administrators. Do you feel prepared to communicate between those individuals and students in casual and professional settings? Candidate Betancourt.
Yes. Ever since my freshman year, I have been talking to faculty and staff and students all the time. If you know me, I would go on campus and just go around and say hi and figure out like what's going on with everyone. I go to meetings often. Before I was in SA and was required to go to meetings, I would voluntarily go to the Office of Equity Inclusion. I would make myself known to the New Student Services Department. I would go into the residential office and just introduce myself to the staff and faculty, because I've always believed that you should find mentors and you should find those who have been in your shoes before. And as a first-generation college student, I was pretty lost coming here. And I searched for those people, and faculty and staff have been my mentors, and I have developed a lot of professionalism, and I also speak to a lot of students. I update students on what I hear from faculty and staff. Being on PCOD, which is the Presidential Council on Diversity, I am in a room full of 15 faculty and staff, and we are talking about ways to better this campus. And then I go into the students and I ask, what are some questions that you have that should be answered as students? So I feel that I have a lot of experience and I am qualified working with a lot of faculty and staff, and I understand that that is a majority of the time the president will be in.
Thank you. And Candidate Nolan?
Serving as the Student Association president, you're essentially the token student. So whenever a member of the administration, or if a large prominent committee needs a representative, they're going to come to the Student Association president. Luckily, I've been on the executive board for the last year, which means that I've had access to serving on these committees. I've been able to serve on multiple committees within the Oneonta Auxiliary Services, including the Board of Directors as well as their Finance Board. I've also served on the Chancellor's Award Committee and, quite frankly, a number of other ones. But to get to the point, I have experience in serving on these committees, and I feel very comfortable. All of the committees that I've sat on so far have been very welcoming. They let me know that my voice is as valuable as theirs, which is really important, because really, what would a college be without the students? So I feel I can be a good representative, as I've already been in the past, and I can continue being that as president.
Thank you. Now, each of you will have a minute to say your closing remarks. Candidate Betancourt?
I came to college to learn, inspire, and be inspired. Since my freshman year, I knew that I wanted to be an advocate for the students. So the first place I went to was where the student government was. And as soon as I went into that office, I knew that this was my place. This is where I can make the most change. And I have made change since I've been here. I believe that I have made an impact in my student body, especially for the marginalized communities. Since being part of each branch of SA, apart from the executive board, I know that there has been amazing opportunities at this campus, and there's so many other opportunities that students can have, and I would want to bridge that gap. Being an EOP student and a woman of color, I believe that I can lead this organization to a brighter and unified future, as well as being an advocate for students.
Thank you. And Candidate Nolan?
I share a different experience than Ketsi. I came here and I wasn't very in love with the campuses I wanted to be. I felt bored. I wasn't really involved. And then after my first semester, I considered transferring. But then I got involved. I went to Club Expo. I signed up for, frankly, too many things that I could handle. And one of those things was the Student Association. And I really found my vocation sitting in the Student Association as a senator. I looked up to the executive board, and I really admired how they could represent the students and be a voice. To prepare for this election, I've studied the policy book, I've studied the Constitution, and I've shadowed President Valerie Conforti for the last couple months. And I would like to take the time now to thank her for encouraging me to run. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Up next is Executive Vice President. Ms. Sheridan, please state your opening remarks.
Hi, my name is Luke Sheridan. I'm currently a junior here at Oneonta, studying political science and history. Throughout the last 3 years, I've been lucky enough to participate in several aspects of the campus life, including Swim and Dive, Secretary of the Class of 2020, Alpha Phi Omega, and Oneonta Future Alumni Network. This past year, I've decided to expand my involvement even more and proudly became a Student Association Senator and have been serving for 2 semesters. Now I'd love to expand my work here and serve as your next Executive Vice President.
Finally, we have Jessica Sinopoli. Candidate Sinopoli, please state your opening remarks.
Hi, my name is Jessica Sinopoli. I'm a business economics major. I'm currently an SA senator and have been for the past 2 semesters. I'm extremely active in Student Association and have been appointed to 5 different committees while at my time here. In addition to that, I've also been trusted to represent Student Association on and off campus. As well as, I'm extremely active in Student Association, as I mentioned before, and I've seen the amazing things Student Association has been able to accomplish. And I want to be an integral part of that process. I want to do more. I've been very interested in the Executive Vice Presidency and have shadowed the current Executive Vice President many, many times now, nearly for 10 hours. So I have a very good grasp on what the responsibilities entail for this position and how I would be able to fulfill them. I hope to use my passion and my experience to motivate others to join Student Association and to create new initiatives to make for a more diverse and representative student governing body.
Thank you. For your first question, how will you promote engagement and participation within the Senate?
Participation and engagement are essential parts of the Student Association. Right now, I feel as though senators don't get out enough. So I definitely advocate for exposure and engagement between student organizations and the Student Association. I would like to see senators move out more. I would like to see them at more events, specifically those sponsored or run by the Student Association. And
Thank you. And candidate Sinopoli?
To increase participation and engagement in Student Association, I would really like to focus on our Senate Development Committee, which I'm already a part of, so I already know how that works. And I would like to create a proper orientation and a very in-depth orientation to make sure our senators know exactly what their roles should be as a senator. And within that, I would really like to make them more active leaders on campus, perhaps maybe implement more office hour requirements or volunteer requirements on campus, perhaps maybe make them participate in our LEAD program to ensure that they are participating in every crevice of every part of our campus. So I would be focusing on primarily using the Senate Development Committee to make sure they have proper orientation and to make sure that they are getting out there and learning what they should be about campus to really make sure they are properly representing our student body.
Thank you. And for our second question, the Executive Vice President is responsible for filling in for the President if they cannot fulfill their duties. Will you be able to fill the role of President if needed?
I do think I would be able to fulfill the duties of president after studying the Constitution and the policy book. I think I'd be able to do it. And after watching our current president, I think I have a good example for it.
Thank you. And candidate Sinopoli?
I think I would be able to fill in for the president need be. I have been lucky enough to talk with our current president, Valerie Conforti, and learn a lot about her position. Not only that, I've been to every policy book meeting that we have had this semester, so I'm very familiar with all the duties need be for every position in Student Association. And I'm a business economics major, so I know when I need to be professional, and I can turn that on very quickly. So I think I would be perfectly fine having to fill in on short-term notice need be.
Thank you. And lastly, for the final question, it takes great organizational skills to make and maintain internal and external committee assignments. Can you give an example of a time when you've demonstrated these skills?
Organization is important because then I get stuff done. If not, it totally goes in the back. As a former athlete, I used to have a very difficult schedule, and on top of that, a full-time student. I know how to organize my work, and I know how to get it done. If not, I don't think I'd be here right now. So I know how to organize.
Thank you. And lastly, candidate Sinopoli?
An example of my organization skills would be my everyday life. College is very, very hectic, but thankfully, I know how to use Excel spreadsheets very well. So because of that, I am constantly organizing not only my schedule, but other people's schedules. And additionally, I'm a people person. So organizing committees would be a lot of fun for me because I would meet with senator after senator and ensure that they want to be on those committees. And so I would organize that, and in addition to my experience for organization, I'm a note taker for accessibility resources, so I have to be organized for not only for myself, but for other people. So I take organization very seriously.
Now you will each have 1 minute for closing remarks.
My name is Luke Sheridan. I'm running for Executive Vice President. I hope you'll vote for me and allow me to further serve and promote the Student Association and student body. I promise, should I be elected, I will fulfill all duties of the office to the best of my abilities and continue to work towards a better Oneonta.
Thank you. And candidate Sinopoli?
I would just like to thank the current Executive Vice President and President for encouraging me to run, as well as Student Association for the opportunity and their support. I hope by answering these questions and seeing my passion and my experience, people will see that I'm the right person to vote for Executive Vice President.
Thank you. Welcome back to the Student Association's 2018-2019 Executive Board Debates. Our first candidate to speak is for Vice President of Events and Public Relations. We have one candidate for this position, and it is Kieran Wupparth. Candidate Wupparth, you have 2 minutes for opening remarks.
Hello, everyone. My name's Kieran Wolfarth, and I actually study biology with a concentration in biomedical science and math here at SUNY Oneonta. I joined SA my first semester here, fall of 2018, because I wanted to establish a voice for myself, and I wanted to establish a role on campus that I feel that I could fit best in and expand myself in. And a student association has done that and more for me, honestly, and I believe that this role would be perfect for me, as I'm an outgoing, charismatic person who wants to bridge the gap between the student association and the campus community, as it did so many wonders for me, and I believe that I'm qualified for this position.
Thank you. Candidate Wolfarth, what do you see as the primary role of the Vice President of Events and Public Relations in the Student Association?
So as I just said, I would love to bridge the gap between the student association and the community. As the presidential candidates had stated, before they said that they would like to bridge the gap between them, and I think my role falls into that, as I would be the Vice President of Communications, and so I would be able to communicate with the campus via social media and via my voice, and I believe that the events planning would also be a huge way to do that as well. There are so many events on campus that happen that really bring the campus community together, and I would love to be responsible for that role.
Thank you. Second question, what are some initiatives you have in mind to help brand the Student Association?
So some initiatives I have in mind is I would love to bring a new dynamic to this association. I would love to start a philanthropy for this position. I know there are so many good causes that deserve attention, that deserve awareness on campus. I stand for advocacy, and I believe that I will be able to not only outreach that to students, but inside the Student Association, and make sure that issues are addressed, as well as events on campus.
Thank you. For our third and final question, what experience do you have in communications, public relations, and marketing?
So in high school, I held a number of positions in communications and public relations. I also do believe that I'm an outgoing, charismatic person, and I believe that those attributes come naturally to me.
Thank you. You now have 1 minute for final remarks.
I would just like to say that Student Association has done wonders for me, and I believe that if I was granted this role, I would be able to do wonders for this campus.
Thank you, Candidate Wolfarth. Now we will take a short break. Next, we have the position Vice President of Finance. James McCormick is our only candidate. Candidate McCormick, you may begin with your opening remarks.
Hi, I'm James McCormack, and I'm running for Vice President of Student Associations of Finance. I'm a junior here at SUNY Oneonta, and I've been working closely with the current VP of Finance on the budget for next year, and I've been shadowing him and helping with his daily duties and his job. I've learned a lot about the position, and I believe that I'm the best candidate for the job.
Thank you. Candidate McCormack, each club has various lines within their club budgets. Please name and describe each of these lines.
There are several different lines for each club. We have a conference line, which is conferences that the clubs may go on here on campus or somewhere else. We have an event line, which is for events on campus or in the surrounding areas that clubs can use on various things. There's a personnel line, which is used for hiring coaches and trainers. We have a media line for publication fees and subscriptions. We have a travel line for money for traveling and events off campus, and an office line for office supplies. There is also an X account, which is basically a club's personal checking account.
Thank you. Secondly, what is the difference between a funding request and a purchase request?
A purchase request is money used by the club that they already were granted due to the prior year's budget. And a funding request is asking for money that they don't have that they can use that would come out of the capital equipment account or the special allocations account.
Thank you. And for our last question, If elected as the next Vice President of Finance, how can you ensure transparency about our policies and procedures between yourself and all clubs and organizations on campus?
I can ensure transparency through PTA meetings with clubs to ensure that they know how they're spending their money. I would also like to make myself available at any times through email or through office hours so that clubs can always have my help. And that's it.
Thank you. Candidate McCormack, please state your closing remarks.
I've been working very closely with the VP of Finance now, and I do believe that I am the best candidate for the position. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up, for the position of Vice President of Central Affairs, we have candidate Samantha Palermo. Candidate Palermo, you may begin with your opening remarks.
Thanks, Zach. It's good to be here. Hi, I'm Vice President of Central Affairs, Sam Palermo. Since I was elected last year, I've worked with student leaders like you to increase transparency, equity, and strengthen student self-governance for the 115 plus student-run organizations I act as a resource and liaison to. I believe that when you work hard and fight for the things that matter, then anything is possible. That's why I ran in the first place, to give a voice to students who felt they didn't have one and to make sure that every organization is properly represented. I've gone above and beyond to ensure every organization is given a fair chance in my first term. To increase awareness of SA policies, I published a club handbook based off of a club survey I distributed last semester. As a committee member on 2 high-level administrative searches, I engaged in shared governance and made your voice heard on academic affairs issues, such as expanding summer session course options, overhauling the existing advisement model, and expanding applied learning opportunities in order to improve post-graduation outcomes. I campaigned on good government, and I wrote the policy that makes my position an ex officio member of Finance Board. This also requires the Attorney General to inform the accused that they are entitled to the VP of Central Affairs' counsel during a judicial hearing. But there's still so much work to do. Instead of letting defunct clubs die, I'm actively working with faculty members in the appropriate academic departments to revive them and prevent them from being dechartered. To increase awareness of your organizations and the SA as a whole, I'm working on a club catalog that will be distributed to freshmen, transfers, and prospective students. A major project I'd like to implement is the creation of an interclub council. 2 other initiatives I would like to implement are a conflict of interest policy for all members of the SA, including Finance Board, and working with the rest of the e-board to rethink the PTA meeting format. This position requires a lot of hard work, but I'm running for re-election because I truly love what I do and I find it rewarding getting to know all of you. I take pride in my record in the last year delivering for our student leaders who are the backbone of our vibrant campus community, and I want to continue that work for another year.
Thank you. For your first question, what are some ideas you have for improving communication between SA-recognized organizations?
Sure. So I've already attempted to address communication between SA and our clubs, and I think it's just as important to facilitate communication between them as well. That's why I'm exploring the idea of establishing an interclub council. So my vision for this ICC is that it would be an umbrella organization that provides a forum for discussion and cooperation among the clubs, as well as acting as a support link. It would meet semi-regularly, an SA executive board member would chair it, and 1 to 2 representatives from each SA-recognized organization would be represented in the council. At the beginning of next semester, I will hold open forums and offer opportunities to the clubs to gather feedback about what their role should be before I bring a proposal to the executive board.
Thank you. As Vice President of Central Affairs, you will be responsible for 115 SA-recognized clubs, plus many other projects and initiatives to keep track of. How will you manage to keep everything running smoothly while being an advocate at the same time?
When I decided to run for my first term, I thought it was simply clubs, but it's much more nuanced as an executive board position. I could just phone it in. I could give PTA makeups, approve event requests, review constitutions, and just go home. Instead, I do all that, and I try and identify what's missing, what opportunities we can offer students, and what exists already that can be reevaluated. For example, I'd like to bring up the idea of reworking the PTA format so clubs don't feel like they're sitting in another class in an IRC lecture hall. What's going to help me balance everything in my second term is that I've already learned the basic duties and really discovered the nuances of the job. I figured out the busy times of the year, like the beginning of each semester when I have to keep track of PTA attendance and administer PTA makeups. I've been through that already, so I really know what to expect, and I'll only become better at balancing the day-to-day responsibilities of the position with being an advocate. It certainly helps that I know what initiatives I'd like to explore in my next term, the ones that I've outlined, the council, the conflict of interest policy, and switching up the PTA meetings. And above all, I don't do any of this work alone. I delegate tasks to my lovely Central Affairs Committee and provide opportunities for office hours to senators, and I can always count on the Executive Council when I feel like I have too much on my plate.
And last question. What experiences at Oneonta have informed your decision to run for Vice President of Central Affairs, and how have these experiences prepared you for the position?
When I started at Oneonta as a freshman, I went to Club Expo. I became very active in Political Science Club, which I'm still a part of. You know, this isn't just a job to me. Clubs are vital to student life at Oneonta. And, you know, participation in student activities has even been linked to, you know, greater academic success. And that's something that I've experienced firsthand. So I certainly know the importance of clubs on campus. When I first joined SA, you know, I felt that we were afflicted by, you know, some complacency and negativity, and I ran just so I could take on initiatives that were realistic and change the status quo, just because, you know, I don't think the status quo is a given. You know, I really challenged the executive board to take on realistic initiatives while being a more advocative and, you know, creatively thinking body. But the experiences led me to run for second term, you know, weren't negative ones. They've been 2,000 students and 152 organizations coming out for Club Expo last fall. They've been a fake funding request in the Senate from Ultimate Frisbee requesting a flamethrower. They've been spending 6 hours straight in a conference room with faculty on a Saturday as part of Provost Search Committee, as Zach can attest to. And they've been getting to know and advocate for student leaders.
This concludes our SUNY Oneonta Student Association's 2018-2019 Executive Board Debate. Please remember to sign on to Campus Connection between Thursday, April 4th at 8 a.m. and Friday, April 5th at 4 p.m. to vote for our new Executive Board members. I'd like to thank Wire TV for assisting us in this special broadcasting. I'm Zach Benetti, and on behalf of the Student Association, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.